believing in the power of the Bitcoin and the power of the economic freedom.
Do you use Bitcoin more or US dollars more?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Sí.
We deserve a better country, and it's more close than ever.
El Salvador's ambassador to the U.S., Milena Mayorga, is laser-focused on bringing an economic renaissance to the country she grew up in, a country she says looks very different today than the El Salvador of her childhood.
I grew up during wartime, and it was not easy as a teenager to go to the movies, something is so familiar with teenagers. A lot of people had to leave El Salvador during wartime. So right now, in my age as a Salvadorian citizen, I'm watching that, there's a new path.
That new path, she says, is being forged by the adoption of Bitcoin and the economic and capital investment opportunities she sees emerging in El Salvador. It's something Mayorga says is spurring people to want to stay and build here, build businesses, build families, and pursue an El Salvador dream instead of leaving for places like the US.
El Salvador is becoming a very interesting country to visit, to invest. And for me, it's been so special because some people are calling me because they want our citizenship. They want to come here. They want to invest in El Salvador. They want to be part of this huge project.
The nation's Bitcoin experiment is under a global spotlight. Whether it's working in the short term depends on who you ask and which headlines you read. Critics point out that El Salvador's Bitcoin holdings have lost tens of millions of dollars in value. But tourism in El Salvador has increased by 30% since Bitcoin was introduced as legal tender last September. And the country's GDP grew more than 10% just in the year 2021.
I'm believing in the power of the Bitcoin and the power of the economic freedom.
In places like El Zonte, also known as Bitcoin Beach, there are many believers as well. So I am here with business owner Elida Roxana. She's been working here for 15 years, and I wanted to ask her about Bitcoin. So tell me, what do you think about Bitcoin?
Pues es una nueva oportunidad para poder ahorrar.
She explained that for starters, it is a new opportunity to save, and even though it comes with high volatility, she has more confidence in Bitcoin than a regular bank.
Así que para mí yo pienso que es 1000 veces mejor Bitcoin. Sí.
In fact, in her words, Bitcoin is 1,000 times better than the traditional system, in part because it's simpler and faster to use. Do you use Bitcoin more or US dollars more?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Sí.
Wow. But the enthusiasm for Bitcoin in parts like El Zonte isn't reflected everywhere in El Salvador, and certainly not in legacy media, where Bitcoin skeptics are thriving in this bear market. The New York Times recently ran a bitter op-ed about Bukele's Bitcoin initiatives with the headline, "The Bet Isn't Paying Off." The article accused the president of cozying up to Bitcoin influencers while cracking down on press freedom, reducing checks on his power, and building a, quote, authoritarian state in a tech disguise. It also claims that Bitcoin doesn't work for the average person in El Salvador. Business owners like Roxana disagree with both that and the assessment of the president. What do you think about Bukele?
Pues un buen presidente. Ha hecho muchas cosas verdaderamente buenas que jamás había pasado en el país.
Roxana and others who know and understand Bitcoin question the characterization of a leader as authoritarian when that same leader advocates for censorship-resistant money that's outside the reach of government control. Bukele himself responded to the op-ed with this tweet. Since when has the New York Times devoted so much time and space to El Salvador's economic initiatives? It's clear they're afraid Bitcoin is inevitable.
What do you say to the critics, from the IMF to different politicians to even average people who maybe not feel as comfortable with a president who memes online and puts on a McDonald's visor? What do you say to the critics?
They're not used to a head of state being like a human being, He has a different approach to the people. And that's why President Bukele is changing all of this. And I'm sure that the rest of presidents, they look like, so traditional and in a box, and he's so different. That's why he engages with a new generation.
Mayorga is among the president's staunchest defenders. In her own opinion piece for the Miami Herald not long ago, she said El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin represents a vibrant spirit of hope.
Why does El Salvador need hope?
Because of our past of corruption and gangs and war and everything bad. And right now, we're watching that it's a perfect moment because we deserve to have tourism, to have the movie industry here, to have a different life, to have freedom.
That hope for real and lasting freedom is what Mayorga says makes her more proud than ever to be from El Salvador and be working in service to building up her country.
They're gonna fight us back. And I know El Salvador, our people is so brave, and I know we deserve a better country, and it's more close than ever.